Hey, so I haven't talked very much about what I read, in part because, as I think I've mentioned before, I'm teaching philosophy classes and I'm writing a philosophy book, so really most of my reading has to do with that. I do have three Kindle Vella novels: Life, Love, Lutefisk, The Devil Came Out, and Battle of the Bands, and I've been working on Battle of the Bands. I haven't even had time to do that lately. But I am reading this book, and this is a really old book from 1968, and it's called The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test by Tom Wolfe. And I just think this book is really pretty amazing. It's kind of funny because during the late 60s, early 70s, there was this sort of movement in journalism to do, I forget what they call it. I mean, I know with Hunter S. Thompson they called it gonzo journalism, but it had a different name too. And so this book is actually, looks like a novel and it reads like a novel, but it's actually nonfiction, sort of. I mean, who knows like how really accurate it is, but it's about Ken Kesey, who was also a novelist who wrote Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which was made into a movie, which is very popular, though if you're younger you might not have heard of it. And he was also an acid head, and so this book is a lot about that. He was always getting arrested, not so much for acid, but more for for marijuana. Am I allowed to say that? I don't even know. Anyway, he was arrested a lot for that because weirdly the laws were kind of in flux at that time. And so you would get arrested for things that you wouldn't get arrested for now, and not get arrested for other things you might get arrested for now. So it's a really interesting book, though, because he is amazingly good at just getting you into this world like immediately, and his descriptions are just phenomenal. So it's worth reading just for fun, really. I'm reading it for other reasons that have to do with the philosophy stuff I'm doing, but it's just a really, really fun read, and it feels like a different world, even though it's 1960s America. Some things, though, are very relatable. Other things you're like, okay, nobody really does this anymore, but it's just a really interesting time capsule, as well as just a fun read. And I mean, everybody, interestingly, is reading fantasy right now. Like, fantasy is just such a huge thing, and I love fantasy. Some of my favorite books of all the time are the Lord of the Rings series and The Hobbit, but I think that really any good book can get you into a different world, and he certainly does that here. He doesn't need fairies and elves and stuff to get you into a different world than what at least I'm living in and most people are living in right now. And it's not necessarily something I would really want to do in real life, right? Just like you probably really wouldn't want to go on a quest with a sword and so on in real life. I wouldn't want to live with the merry pranksters in their van where they didn't ever know where they were going to sleep at night, and they were sleeping on the floor a lot of times, and just this crazy sort of life that they had. But it's fun to be there in the novel form, and so it really has that escapism to it, which is really the reason why I like reading and literature. Not because, and this is why I'm not a literature professor, right? I don't teach literature because I love literature in an escapism sort of way. So I'm kind of like, I see the symbolism, I see what's going on, but that's really not why I love it. That's secretly, I just like to be transported to a different world. And that this book does that, believe it or not, even though it's nonfiction. So, just my little take on my reading for this week. Thanks for watching.